What's going on, guys? Isaiah here from Goo Gaming, and today me and Logan are going to go over a Tearlament deck post Darkwing Blast going into YCS Minneapolis, and how we think that most of the decks that are playing Tearlament cards are going to look going into this tournament. Real quick, before we get into the video, I do want to let you guys know we're so close to 1,000 subscribers, so if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we're going to do a massive giveaway. We're actually doing 3 giveaways. All that information will be spread once we hit 1,000 subs. I also want to let you guys know that starting next week, we're going to be streaming 3 days a week on the channel. We're going to be doing old format streams, meta streams, a progression series stream. So if you haven't, like I said before, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so when we do go live, you'll be there to see it. Let's get into the video. All right, guys, so jumping right into the list, we're going to start off with the Bastille cards, playing a Druid Worm and 3 Magnas. Like we said in our last 2 videos, if you're not playing the Bastille cards going into the YCS or the format in general, you're probably just behind.
The reason you play 3-1 instead of 2-2 or whatever, Magna's just the one you want to open. Like, it just gives you the most value. It can also add Albion from your deck, so you're not just adding Druid Worm, so it can add like an Upstart Goblin if it really wanted to. The card's just insane. It's 2,500 body, searches another body, or it can draw a card. Card's really good.
Yeah, I'm excited to play with these cards. Moving on to some of the hand traps, we're playing 3 Valor and 3 Nib. Valor cards, we're also playing Imperm, but Valor cards or Target Negi cards, I feel like are just really good. Other than Elf, but if you pair those with like Nibiru, it is really, really strong in this format.
Yeah, also if you pair against tier elements, if you just pair one of the Bastille monsters with Nibiru, a lot of the times they just can't play through that because they're going to be focusing on the new fusion that we'll get to here in a minute. And if you just banish the Kikalos and Grave, force them to go into a different fusion, and then force them into a line where they just play straight into Nibiru, a lot of the time you can just end their turn.
Moving on to tier elements, at this point, if you're not maxing out on your tier names, you're just behind. Like you need to play all of them. You want to mill them. You want to have them in your hand. Instant Fusion is the best tier card. You know, this card should have been banned. Just being able to summon Kit with it. If it's not in your deck, you're probably just not playing the deck right. And then obviously you're playing 3 Field Spell. Do you want to talk about the new cards?
Yeah, so I guess we'll start with Heartbeats. Heartbeats is a searchable optimistic mine. It's also cool because it shuffles the card instead of destroying it. So if you do have to use it on a card like Solik, they don't get the value from it, which is nice. You can also trigger one of your Tearlament names, which is pretty cool. Um, I decided to forgo Dynamiscus and played the one Heartbeats just because I felt like I didn't want too many cards in my deck that are bad going second, and Heartbeats where it's not the greatest card going second, it's the what you have to have an optimistic mind. And then Scream, I think this card's insane. Especially in the hand trap version of this deck where your ceiling's not very high. So some of your hands you'll open hand traps, a Scream and a Rhino Heart. And if they have an imperm, if you didn't have Scream, you just ended your turn. But like where you could summon Rhino Heart, where you activate Scream, summon Rhino Heart, do your chain links. Even if they imperm the Rhino Heart, you mill 3. If you miss there, it's fine. If your opponent summons a monster, you get to mill 3 more. So it turns your Rhino Heart into a mill 6. And that's really strong. And the fact that milling it lets you search trap cards is just really good as well. It just gives you extra value.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this card played. A lot of people at first thought this card wasn't going to be very good, but like just reading into how the decks have been built now, I think this card's actually going to be a staple in most tier decks. Obviously, we're playing Terraforming. We want to open Planet. Planet's insane. And the 3 Infinite Permanents just to round out our hand traps. Optioning to play double Sulik. Is there a specific reason you want to do that?
I think it's just the best trap. Like, Meta Noise isn't great in the mirror. This card helps you play around Dark Ruler no more. It's the best one to mill. The one you want to add pretty much every time. So if you mill it, you want to add it. So play 2.
Yeah, the card's just literally everything you want in a trap card for this deck. We're optioning to play the Brandon and High Spirits and Albion package. This package is really good, being able to draw a card. And also, if you open this card in your opening hand, it lets you play around the Bastille cards because you don't have to pitch Death Frog anymore. Now you can pitch Lulu. I think is really cool.
Yeah, it also just like allows you to play around cherries and the Bastille monsters because you can make the Kikalos before you put a monster on board, which is really strong. And a lot of this deck's boards, it's not like these crazy combo tier decks that you say like that you were seeing a lot last format. This is a very like slow, grindy mid-range deck, and you want to like end with like Kit Kalos, Trap, maybe an Elf or a rank 4. That's pretty much it. That's like your height, like that's like your goal, and you just want to grind and outvalue your opponent. And this card is like super good at doing that because of just all the value it can get from adding itself back from the graveyard and stuff.
Moving on to our extra deck. The only thing that changed in the fusion package, you're playing the Garura, Mud Dragon, Dragostapelia, Kaleido Heart, the two kits, but now we're playing the Lulu. Lulu's a new card out of Darkwing Blast. The first event is going to be Minneapolis. It's legal for, and I think this card's nuts. The fact that you can, it negates Nib, it negates summons, and it brings itself back. I'm really excited to play this card.
Yeah, this card's crazy. It just like changes the dynamic of Tearlaments. Like it allows you to be able to stop Nibiru for before your fifth summon a lot of the time, which is just crazy. So if you do draw one of those really good hands where you draw Rhino, Rhino, I don't know, Sharon plus a name, it's just or like instant fusion or whatever, it's just like allows you to just play through Nib and with no fear.
You have to play Dweller. Dweller is just so good in the mirror match, and you're going to be playing a lot of mirror matches if you're playing in this format. So it's definitely got to be in your deck. Redoer just for like if you don't open the best board, or if with this version you're not going to build like such an amazing board or insane board like we were talking about before. So ending on a redoer is going to be a thing sometimes. And then we're choosing to play the Bahamut and the Toad. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean this deck just grinds a lot. Sometimes they stop your Rhino Heart and like you don't really you just need to be able to make something and like you don't need Redoer and Dweller's not good in the matchup, so like you can just make Money Mud Dragon with one of the other darks in your deck, whether it's like Garura or the one of the Beastie monsters or something. And then you can just overlay the Rhino and the Mud Dragon into Bahamut to make a Toad. Also, Toad you could just generically make. If you stop your opponent enough, you can Elf back a Merly, and then your next turn like normal summon Merly, make Toad. And it's just pretty easy to make. So, oh, I like the package a lot.
Yeah, I feel like Toad's still worth playing in the deck, and then you can also like you just add the extra rank 4 in there just in case. And then you play Zeus package. I feel like Zeus had kind of fell off on tier for a while there, but with losing the frogs and playing like this slower version of the deck, I feel like being able to go in Bahamut and then into a Zeus is really strong.
Yeah, it gives something for your Redoer to do after the first turn. So like if you end it with like Redoer, Kikalo's Trap, and they break through that, but they don't end with like a great board, you can like bring back Redoer on their end phase, draw, stand by, get an attachment, enter battle phase attack, then make a Zeus and Zeus the board, then start playing. And I think that's where it comes up a lot.
Yeah,
You're not really doing a double send with this card usually.
it's just kind of like to even out the game state if you get behind. For our links, we're playing the three best link twos right now: Dark, Elf, and then the new Sprite Sprint card.
So really you're just focusing on the rank fours because like Dweller, Redoer, Bahamut, those are like the real powerhouses with like the other fusions, not really the Link monsters.
Yeah, it's more just like a toolbox section of your extra deck.
Alright, so the side deck, this is a real side deck, obviously. This is 15 one-ofs. This is just some of the other cards that I wanted to talk about that maybe or may or may not be included in the deck or why I didn't include them or whatever. So, Reaper, I want to talk about how I think Reaper's actually gotten a lot worse this format. As you can see, we're playing Brandon and High Spirits package, which could summon Kit Kalos before normal summoning or summoning a monster at all. And I think that's a reason why I would probably stray away from playing Reaper in the side decks. Um, but on the other hand, another card I really like is actually Mourner. I think Mourner's really strong. I think like, if I could fit another going second card, this is probably the going second card I probably would choose. I think Imperm Veiler Mourner is just really strong going into this new format because a lot of the Sprite decks are focusing on going into Sprite before like doing anything. And if you can draw a combination of Veiler plus Mourner or like Imperm plus Veiler or whatever, it could really just stop their turn. So I really like that card. I would definitely include Gamma in your side decks. I think Gamma is just the best hand trap going second. It can also hit Dweller if you draw it as your 6 cards and they just do it during your standby phase. I think the card's just really good. It can also protect your brain and high spirits against like negates and stuff. A card that I think is a little controversial, but I actually don't like Fenrir very much in the Tearlament decks. If you look at the Tearlament deck right now, I have 4 copies of the Bested monsters. If you use them on your opponent's turn, you can't summon Fenrir because you cannot control monsters. If you use Nibiru, you can't summon Fenrir, and if you triggered Havness, you cannot summon Fenrir. So that's why I chose not to play it in this deck. I think Fenrir is an amazing card. I just don't particularly like it in Tearlaments. Just because you have to play a lot of these cards, and I think they're just better in these decks. Going into the Bested package, you can play more Bested monsters, including the Spell and Trap of the Branded. I think these cards are really strong. You know, Soynir can dump Brandon Hot Spirits, and then you can recycle it to add extra value. Plus, he's just a different name. Lubellion can set the spell and traps for interruption and other value. But that's kind of like a different deck, and I felt like you can't really play a lot of hand traps with these cards. So that's why I chose not to play them. And then Pot of Desires. I chose not to play Pot of Desires because I'm playing the Brandon Hot Spirits package. If you're playing Pot of Desires and this package, you have to play double Albion, and then still it gets a little sketchy if you banish if you banish them. So like I just didn't want to do all that. I felt like that was too many cards. And then Called by the Graves. This card probably should be a side or main deck. I just couldn't find a slot for it in this deck. Dark Ruler, this card should probably be in your side deck, and then I don't actually really like Super Polymerization in this version. It's probably a side deck card, but I don't like it in the main deck because it's not like the danger decks or whatever. You don't really get value from discarding off of it, and usually, you're playing hand traps, so if you hand trap them once or twice, you don't really want to Super Polymerization and discard another card because you just don't have a lot of cards in your hand. And then Cosmic and Donna Miscus. I think both of these cards are fantastic. I think you need to have a plan for Mystic Mine and a bunch of outs in your side deck to Mystic Mine. So that's why I included those in here to talk about those.
All right, guys. So that is our take on Tearlaments going into YCS Minneapolis or the Darkwing Blast format. Obviously, things might change, but this is how we think most of the decks are going to look, rough sketched around. Like I said, we're excited for YCS Minneapolis. There's going to be a ton of us here, and we hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.